And welcome back to the Hot Lap. Andretti are very much back, and at the very least they're back in the news after what many considered was that absolutely awful snub. Not the FIA for once, but it was Formula One, Liberty Media, headlined by Stefano Domenicali. I guess he wasn't the only one, and also the F1 teams that said no, we do not want Andretti, although we have begun this season with more than one team not able to have more than two chassis if a car breaks. Mercedes don't understand the new rules by the sounds of it. I know, once again, I'm being a bit mean. I love Mercedes, but they were basically saying that Andretti would not add anything. They would not be competitive. Who knows? And when we had Haas struggling at the beginning of the year, they are doing a fantastic job. Alpine are struggling. Let's be fair, they are last. And they are a works team at the moment, being beaten by everyone else. So Andretti very much back. And they're back so much that they're opening a F1 facility at Silverstone. So Andretti Global of opening at Silverstone. I mean, if that is not a massive exclamation mark to Formula One, I genuinely do not know what is. So, they've opened its Formula One facility at Silverstone as it continues preparations, and it says here, this is April the 10th from Racer.com, Motorsport.com is also reporting it, for a potential entry in 2026. Yes, the 48,000 square foot facility is based at the Silverstone Park Technology and Business Park at the home of the British Grand Prix. How much more hardcore F1 can you get all around Silverstone? As we said the other day, it's kind of like the Silicon Valley of Formula One. And it's got a current workforce of around 80 people designing and developing a car that could race in 2026. Now, the new building was opened by both Michael and Mario Andretti alongside Andretti global partner Dan Tauris. I probably got that pronunciation wrong. And also team president J.F. Thorman. Now, at present, Andretti is working on a chassis for these current regulations as it develops its facilities, with the Silverstone base housing manufacturing facilities, including model, pattern, machine shops, technologies, R&D, and additional office and meeting facilities. Now, the Silverstone factory is going to work alongside the main site they've got in Indiana and the organisation's Formula E base in Banbury. We've said, Andretti has said that our work continues at pace. This new facility embodies that work. While we plan to have an all-American team with the car assembled in the US, having a European base is a great way to attract the best talent in F1 and install state-of-the-art machinery. It is. We were only saying the other day that the difficulty of some teams, particularly even with for a team as big as Ferrari, is attracting these engineers that have gone to university in the UK, stayed in the UK. For example, Adrian Newey very much wants to stay in the UK. James Allison did go to Ferrari. There are other reasons why he left Ferrari, but he's now back in the UK. It is quite hard to get people outside of the UK. Even Toyota, with their wonderful Cologne facility and almost a seemingly endless checkbook of zeros, could not get enough people over for long enough. Yes, it wasn't the only reason why they weren't successful, the fact that they were based in Germany, but you'd really think, okay, fair dues. But Andretti's gone on to say, I want to see integration between all the bases between the US and Silverstone as we move forward. But this is already happening today, he says, with some really great collaboration on all fronts. There's literally hundreds of years experience in this Silverstone building. Every person here, he says, knows what they are doing and is capable of building a very competitive race car. We're excited by this unique opportunity as we move forward. Andretti has gone on to say the Silverstone facility will be completed in phases. Now, according to the commercial and sporting needs and workforce requirements, he says, with the F1 team yet to secure an entry. Yes, as we know, they didn't secure an entry at the beginning of the year, and I think the only reason we're still potentially not talking about it is pretty much the very next day. I think it was Hamilton to Ferrari. So the F1 team, as we know, didn't secure that entry to join the grid in 2026, but stated it would be open to a 2028 entry when General Motors has stated its intention for an F1 power unit. So F1 said no to a 2026 because they don't have their own power unit. Okay, this is why I get really, really frustrated. I mean, put it this way, yeah, they don't have a power unit. That is one of many reasons. Williams does not have its own power unit. McLaren does not have its own power unit. Haas does not have its own power unit. Aston Martin does not have its own power unit. Need I go on? I mean, goodness me. So, moving on, despite the announcement from the FOM, Racer understands the FIA is still working with Andretti on its plans, which is good. The FIA being the good guys, I think, for once, having assessed its financial and technical capabilities to be sufficient for an entry. And as I said, I went on a rant. I love James Vowles, I really do. I love the Williams team, but he stood there in Las Vegas saying, no, we're 10 teams. Essentially, if you read between the lines, they didn't want to share the pie. But this is the same. This is the same team that are kind of, you can make an argument, underfunded, under pressure at the moment, and all of them at Williams have done a cracking job. Not to take that away from them, but you cannot stand there and say that, and then have this issue with the other chassis for the fact that you could only enter one car in the Australian Grand Prix. An embarrassment. An embarrassment. But then turn around and say, no, Andretti, you are not coming to Formula One. What? I mean, what? So, it's not only, obviously, it's not only their Silverstone base, which I think is quite interesting. They've also, as you've seen here, they are planning F2 and F3 entries to promote US talent to their Formula One team. And I think this is absolutely brilliant. So they've begun a move into this new facility in the Silverstone Park estate, as we have reporting. Now, assuming the team's F1 entry eventually gets a green light, its base will also house its F3 and F2 programs. Well, yes. So the intention is also to move the Formula E team to its current base from its current base near Banbury, and potentially add a sports car program as well. He said this is going to be mainly for F1, for these two facilities, said Andretti, but we also want to bring our Formula E team and start integrating there. Our goal, he said, is to have an F3 and F2 team to help support the F1 team, and maybe even a WEC team. And they're talking big things, but hey, we're F1, we're not going to let you in. So we want to make this our hub for the European racing. So a lot of cool plans in this area. And absolutely, though, as Andretti also noted that promoting American talent in the main aim for this twin category programs, I mean, that's going to be absolutely fantastic. They could take some of their IndyCar drivers, put them in F2 and put them in F3 and F2, see how they do. I mean, they could have a massive talent pool. This is potentially like the Red Bull Junior program, but focusing maybe on Americans, and with America a big growing market currently in Formula One. Well, it was in 21 and 22. I don't know. I think Verstappen's kind of doing his best to stop that, but still, it is still a potentially a massive market in 2024 and onwards. And he said it's not, though, just for American drivers, but it'll be a good ladder for American drivers. He told Autosport, he said, we're going to still be looking for the best talent in the world, but it's going to give an American driver a fair chance, because normally when an American comes over here, they're not treated the same. And Michael Andretti knows that himself for his time at McLaren. Was he treated unfairly? I don't really know, but I think he scored a podium and then was sacked for Mika Hakkinen. Yes, and it all transpired that if you want to go back all the way back to 1993, it was very much Mika Hakkinen and Michael Andretti were signed to the team because they weren't sure that Ayrton Senna was going to go there. Lo and behold, Ayrton Senna pretty much went on a race-by-race basis. 3 into 2 did not go. And was Michael Andretti a victim? I don't know. I think if they all did it again, it would be very much different. Now, because of a lot of times, though, Andretti went on, you don't know. Some father might be paying 200 days of testing and things like that to make their kid look good. So here we'll know what we have. Now, Andretti Global Dan Towers conceded that a commitment to F2 and F3 programs was pending confirmation, though, of an F1 entry. Yes, I mean, what other teams, have dedicated F2 and F3. Some of them do, but actual teams, not just driver programs we're talking. And he said it's going to be linked to finalising the F1 piece of it. But he said development of drivers have always been a hallmark of Michael's eyeing talent. It's something that's very important to him. So whatever series we're in, there's going to be a development series that is creating drivers of the future. We're excited about the Weldon boys right now. Yes, that was an awesome documentary. If any of you, I think the trailer for the documentary, I've not seen it, about Dan Weldon. Not himself, but his family and the boys. And about the time we get an F3 team, young Sebastian is going to be ready for it, which I think is brilliant. Towers stressed, though, that it was logical to bring American drivers to Europe early in their careers. He says, sometimes people think, oh, they just want to bring IndyCar drivers over here, he said. I think there are some talented IndyCar drivers that can absolutely make the leap right now. We want to have a development series with F3 and F2. So we're developing drivers to bring them up, making sure that American drivers are getting over at the right time and have all the opportunities to make a claim for an F1 seat, which I think is absolutely fantastic. Massive, massive thumbs up to Andretti Autosport. Brilliant, brilliant thumbs up. So that's pretty much most of the talk here. There was talk about, obviously, Alpine potentially selling their car, but then they've now come across and kind of like denied that. This is from Motorsport. I'm just going to have a quick chat about it here. Alpine sale rumours emerge amid key Renault demands, but then Alpine have also come out and said they're not for sale. But the story says Alpine's disappointing start to the Formula 1 season has already fueled talk that its parent company Renault could consider a sale. However, according to information gathered in recent weeks, any possible sale of the outfit would likely be on the condition that any new owner would continue to use the Renault engine for the foreseeable future. The opening 4 races of the season have, let's be fair, been an absolute epic fail for Alpine. However, it appears that to be the least competitive out of pretty much all the backmarker teams, and as we know, it's not a customer outfit, it's a full works outfit, and kind of embarrassing. So they finished 4th though in 2022, 4th, and look how far they've fallen. Just more than a year on, the scenario is very different in the intervening period. CEO Laurent Rossi, team principal Otmar Zafna, and 2 historical figures of the team, Alan Permain and technical director Pat Fry, have all gone. Is it the are they jumping off the Titanic before it hits the iceberg? You've got to wonder. And rather than the management changes having helped the squad move forwards, it has slumped backwards and right at the bottom of the rankings. I don't think, when you look at Team Enstone, Benetton, Renault, even as Lotus, when they were struggling, and then back as Renault, I've never seen them this slow. They've essentially replaced Minardi in terms of at the back of the pack, and they've got 2 absolutely fantastic drivers in Esteban Ocon and Pierre Gasly, far too talented to be at the back. It'll be interesting to see when, in terms of the driver market, because neither of those 2 have any contracts for next year. So I think it's going to be really, really interesting to see where they all go. But there we go. So if you like what you see, please give us a subscribe. If you prefer this background, comment below. Let us know whether you prefer this background or you want to go back to the old school. I mean, we're gonna do a mix between the 2. But there we go. There's the old. Here's the old school. Here's the old school hot lap. If that's what you want, ignore the ignore the IndyCar news bit there because that was from the other day. Let's get rid of that. But yeah. So thank you very much. There's been lots of subscribers now. We've got over 800 at the time of recording. It's been absolutely fantastic. It gives me a smile every time I see that number go up. Let us know in the comments what more you want from this channel, because I love motorsport. I love playing the games. I love rally. I love Formula 1. I love IndyCar. I want to do all of it. I'm just one person though. I can't do everything. As many fingers and pies as I like. Let us know. Anyway, I'm going to start to ramble a lot, which is probably something that we don't want. So, I'll speak to you soon. Thank you very much. This has been the Hot Lap. Andretti hopefully is going to be back. Speak to you later.